Okay, so good afternoon and welcome to the School of Psychology at the University of Leicester. So my name's Kevin Patterson and I'm the head of the School of Psychology. I'm going to just talk for a few minutes to give you a brief introduction to what we're going to do today. So several things we're going to do. Once I've finished speaking in just a moment, my colleague Susie is going to give you an overview of the different psychology courses that we offer here at Leicester. And once we've finished that, we're going to do something special. But actually what we'll do first, before we do the special, is talk a bit about the particular advantages of studying at Leicester. So why Leicester is a good choice for you to make. Then after that is the special thing. The special thing is that we're going to give you an example lecture, very short, abbreviated example lecture, what we call a taster lecture. And so Anna Nowakovska is going to tell you a little bit about the sorts of material that she might typically cover in a lecture. We're also going to run a live Q&A, and our staff, I think you can hopefully you can see everyone who's here in this meeting just now. So we've got several staff who are available to take questions in real time in the Q&A. Particularly importantly, we have one of our current undergraduate students here, Lamia, and she's also going to be looking at taking the Q&As, and that's really special because Lamia can answer your questions from the perspective of what it's actually like to study here at the University of Leicester. So that's pretty much all from me. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy what we offer. And I'm just going to pass over now to my colleague, Susie. Thank you, Susie.
Thanks, Kevin. Okay, hello everyone, my name's Susie. I'm one of the programme leads of one of our programmes in the School of Psychology. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of our courses in the School of Psychology and Vision Science. I can say a lot about them, but you know, there's only so much that we can fit in this session. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about those courses and what it's like studying psychology at Leicester, where you'll be based, and what opportunities that we've got. So we're based in George Davies Centre, which is quite a new building. It's quite swish and nice. It's got some dedicated lecture theatres, lots of seminar rooms, some computer labs, which are just for the School of Psychology students to use, and a lot of our staff are based there as well, so in offices that you can go and knock on our doors for. So yes, so lots of our teaching takes place within this building, but some of it takes place across the campus as well. There's a nice cafe there, and there's some nice dedicated areas that you can relax in and study in as well. So why you might want to come to us at Leicester, we're rated as a top 13% university for psychology across the UK, and we're quite proud that we do quite well in value added, so a top 12% for that. And what that means is that students who come to us will tend to come out with a better degree than they would if they go to another institution, given the same kind of entry grades. And that's because we put a lot of effort into our support services that we have for students. So we have a help desk that runs every day to help students with any queries and things like that. So we put a lot of emphasis in the quality of our teaching and the support that we offer to students to make sure that everyone's happy and everyone's kind of up to speed. So I mentioned that we have 3 BSc psychology degrees. So we have a single subject, so just BSc psychology. So this is kind of covers the breadth of psychology. So psychology being the study of people, the mind and behaviour. So if you're just generally interested in that, you might choose our single subject one. And then we've got a couple of programmes that actually offer a specialism as well if you've got a particular interest. So we've got psychology with cognitive neuroscience. So this is the degree program that I'm the lead of. So this again covers the breadth of psychology, but you'll also do some specialist modules and things that focuses in on the brain and the neural processes and how that might influence our behavior. So if you particularly like that kind of things, you could go that way. And then we also have our applied psychology degree program as well. So this again covers the breadth of psychology, but then you specialize in aspects of how psychology and psychology methods might be applied within our day-to-day lives. So things like clinical psychology or forensic psychology or sports psychology, all of those kind of areas. So it's important to say that all of these degrees are accredited by the BPS, the British Psychological Society. And that's really important because if you did want to go on to further study or to have a career within like a protected psychological area like clinical or forensic, you would need to have studied an accredited degree. So with our degree, you can go any of these directions that you'd like to. Okay, so what topics? So I said that you'd study like the breadth of psychology, but what does that actually mean? Well, we cover like all of the core areas, and that's why we're accredited by the BPS, because we cover. So we'll do like social psychology, research methods, individual differences, cognitive psychology. So lots of these areas, neuroscience, applied psychology. So yeah, these are the core areas that the British Psychological Society specify needs to be within a good psychology degree for you to get a well-rounded kind of overview of this area. And so you'll study those on all of the 3 different degree pathways. So how our degrees are structured. So in year 1, all students on all 3 of the degree streams will do the same thing. So year 1 is where we're kind of getting everybody at the same level, covering like a grounding of all aspects of psychology. So if you're doing like A-level psychology, then it's fine for you. But also if you haven't never done psychology before and you're not doing it at A-level, then you don't need to worry because we'll bring everyone together and bring everyone up to speed. We'll introduce you to research methods and things, and also skills of how to study psychology and how to kind of communicate as a psychologist. Skills that will be really important for whatever career you end up doing afterwards. And the important thing I want to say is that because everybody does the same thing in year 1, it does mean that if you wanted to switch between the degree streams, you can do that at the end of year 1. So if you start on, say, single subject and you think, oh, I really enjoyed the biological, the brain aspects, then you can choose to switch to psychology with cognitive neuroscience at the end of year 1. Because it's year 2 and year 3 where we start to specialise more. So in year 2, you've still got some kind of core areas so that we're, fulfilling our accreditation for the BPS. So you'll do things like psychopathology, information processing, cognition, social and developmental psychology. And then you do start to have some option modules, so you can start to follow your own interests as well. And there'll start to be those specialised modules for the different degrees. So we have a module at the moment called Topics in Cognitive Neuroscience, which the Psychology of Cognitive Neuroscience students take, and Topics in Professional Psychology that our Applied Psychology students take. So that's where we start to diversify more. And then in year 3, again, we'll have some core areas that everyone does, but then we'll have some more specialist modules for the different degree streams. And then we have quite a wide range of option modules. So you'll find something that really suits you and kind of what your interests are. And And yeah, we cover a lot of different areas here. And those kind of specialist option modules, they're taught by staff who are kind of specialists in that research area. So you're taught by people who kind of really know their stuff in that area. Okay, so this is kind of what we've got as examples of those option modules so far. So got some of the option modules in year 2 and option modules in year 3. It's important to say these sometimes change, especially the year 3 ones, as we have staff coming in and out of the department, because we like to follow people's research specialisms, and we feel that that's quite important. And I'm not going to go into these in too much detail, but I just wanted to highlight. So if you were particularly interested, say, in personality and social environment, you might in your second year want to choose the topics in social and developmental psychology. And then in year 3, there's like psychology across the lifespan, individual differences and well-being, that kind of thing. Or if you're more interested in things like psychopathology and mental health, then you might choose in year 2 topics in clinical neuroscience. And then we've got neuroscience and mental health, clinical psychology in year 3, which is taught by people who are clinical psychologists who also teach on our doctorate for clinical psychology. And there's clinical and cognitive neuropsychology as well. So those are just some examples of how you can follow your interests on a pathway through the different option modules that we offer. So that's pretty much an overview of our degrees. So hopefully you'll see there's something that interests everybody there. And now I'm going to stop sharing. I'll pass over to my colleague Jane, who's going to tell you a little bit more about things.
So I'm Dr. Jane Spiller. I'm one of the lecturers here within the School of Psychology and Vision Sciences, and my research focuses on sleep in children and sleep in children with neurodevelopmental conditions. So I teach across some of the more developmental modules on the programme. I'm also interested in sleep and memory and mathematical cognition, and my research interests feed into some of the other programmes that I teach on here at Leicester. So Susie's given a really good overview of the breadth of the curriculum that we have and how it's really well balanced and feeding into the different core components of the British Psychological Society across the different years. And I want to touch on really about the teaching and assessment side of the course, which I'll go on to in the next couple of slides. And one of the things I really want to emphasise is that we offer a skills-focused curriculum, which is really important in terms of preparing you for the world of work beyond your undergraduate degree. And I've mentioned a bit about my research interests, so we have a real synergy between what we teach and the research that we are doing. We have a really fantastic support system, both within the School of Psychology and Vision Sciences, but also at a university level, which I'll speak to in a few slides' time. And finally, we've got really excellent teaching across the programme. So at university level, you'll be taught in a range of different settings. So most of our teaching takes place within lectures. So that's kind of lectures with all of the students on the cohort, and sometimes in the option modules they're slightly smaller lectures. We also provide support through seminars. Particularly we've got seminars that link in with assignments. So for example, there's a couple of seminars that you have to provide support for an essay that you do in the third year that I'm involved with. And in terms of how we teach our research methods, which is a really core component of all psychology courses that's needed for the British Psychological Society accreditation, you will have group-based tutorials in computer labs, so in the fantastic labs that Susie mentioned in the George Davies Centre. And this is an opportunity for you to really ask questions of the staff around the research methods and statistics. And as well as teaching you about research methods, you also get to participate in research studies. And that's a really good way to get an understanding of how research studies are run, which will set you up really well for your final year dissertation. In terms of the amount of contact time that you have across the course, so you've got 12 hours in year 1, 10 in year 2 and 8 in year 3. And the reason this changes across the years is because we're expecting you to engage in more independent study as you go through the programme. So in years 1 and years 2, it equates to about 24 hours of private study. And in 3rd year, you're expecting more independent and private study because you'll have more time that you're spending on your dissertation, which is your final year research project. And I've just mentioned briefly about the research participation. So each term in years 1 and 2, then you'll be asked to take part in 6 hours worth of experiments for course credits. And then we're expecting you to spend about 8 hours a week on your dissertation in year 3. So that's preparing the dissertation, collecting the data and writing up. So one of the things that we are really proud of here at Leicester is the breadth of ways that we assess students' learning. So you can see here on this slide that we've got a couple of different types of assessments that we use. So we've got our more traditional independent work. So these are exams where you're working independently and being assessed independently. We've also got traditional essays. We've also got literature reviews and executive summary. So an executive summary is being able to write a really short précis of a particular topic, which will stand you in really good stead for careers where you're going to need to be able to summarise some information in a really clear and concise way. We've also got a number of group-based projects where you work together with a number of other students on an assignment. The advantage of this is that firstly, you get to learn how to work as a group, and that's really important in the real world. Many of us will be doing group work well beyond our university course. So within this context of group-based assignments, we've got podcast, infographics, and designing kind of storyboards. There are group-based presentations as well, and we've moved more towards individual presentations as we go through the programme. So I've touched a little bit about research. So within the School of Psychology and Vision Sciences, we have a number of research groups. So we have the Vision Sciences group, and within this group, members of staff are working in schools to understand how children read and learn. Lots of eye tracking experiments take place within this group. And there's also a number of people in this group who are interested in using EEG. And then we've got the Health and Wellbeing group, which is the research group that I lead. And in this group, we've got a diverse range of research that we're involved with. So working with patients with mental health problems, working with patients who've got physical health problems such as cancer or cardiovascular issues, vulnerable populations. So we work with prison populations. And whilst we've got real diversity, we are united in this core aim that we want our research to inform the best psychological and physical healthcare. And we do have a clinical psychology team that sits within the School of Psychology and Vision Sciences, so people who are trained to be clinical psychologists, and their work is really focused on supporting mental health patients or patients with co-occurring mental and physical difficulties. And we, as I've mentioned a bit about prisons already, we have a group of individuals within the Health and Wellbeing group who are conducting research into outcomes for prisoners. We are a world-class research-led institution, which is where we have our research groups, which is where we have staff who are undertaking research as well as supporting students in their learning. And because we've got experts who are world-class in the research that they engage with, we're able to then impart some of the expertise that we have to our students. And this makes for a really inspiring learning environment whereby we are able to really help students to get a sense of what it is to do research in the real world, and we're able to feed in some of the findings from our research into our lectures. And through being a really research-led institution, it means that our students who are engaging in their final year projects, their dissertation with us, are able to work alongside a staff member who's an expert in their field. And some of our students have their final year projects published, which is really exciting. And so it's a really great way to put into practice all of the skills that you've learned throughout your degree programme, with excellent support from our members of staff. And as well as having a focus on health and wellbeing and vision sciences and reading, we also have members of staff who are really focused on engaging in research about how we learn, so pedagogical research. And we have a number of funded projects which staff are working on, which some of our students can actively contribute to, such as, for example, things around making sure that our rubrics we use for our oral presentations are really accessible and have student input into them. And we're always improving our curriculum and student experience, and we really value the voices of our students in doing that. And we have had a number of members of staff who have written textbooks. So, for example, we can see here John Maltby, Andrew Coleman, who've written these textbooks, which are actually used on our course. So we've got members of staff who are really excited about undertaking research to make sure that the way that we teach and the way that students learn is going to be the best it possibly can be. So I mentioned that we've got a really excellent support system here at the University of Leicester. So we've got a transitions to higher education tutor. You'll be assigned a personal tutor who you'll meet with both with other students in a small group based context, but also you'll meet with them one-to-one, and they can provide support for you and signposting throughout your programme. There is also a year tutor who will keep you up to date on all of the activities that are happening and relevant to your year group. And also one of the things that's really unique to Leicester is that we have a School of Psychology help desk. This runs every day in term time, and it's both a mixture of you can join it via Teams, so remotely, or you can drop in person to the George Davies Centre. And staff here are have set aside time to help students with any questions they might have. So it could be about a particular assignment, or it could be about support with research methods. And that's something that we're really proud of, and that is particularly unique to our course here at Leicester. We do have a Leicester University Psychology Society, which runs in events and provides networking opportunities, and staff sometimes come and give presentations at that. I think they have quizzes and various things as well. And of course, we have our Students' Union, and we have our university level student welfare and accessibility service. So the accessibility service supports students who might have any additional learning needs or any physical access needs or mental health needs. And we also have student welfare, which provides support for mental health for our students. And we do have a career development service as well, which I will go on to talk about shortly. So we've got this support tree whereby we've got relationships between support-based individuals here within the School of Psychology, but also at a university level. So if a student's got a problem, then they can drop their personal tutor an email to arrange to meet with them, or they can make contact with their year tutor. But the personal tutor is a member of staff that's going to get to know that student throughout their course. And then we've got a school welfare team. So we've got Peggy Lowe within our school, who is fantastic support. She's dedicated to looking after our students here within the School of Psychology. So this is where students might need perhaps a little bit more support with a particular issue they might be facing. And we're at a university level, we've got the accessibility team that I've just mentioned, student welfare, and we do have a process whereby we can refer students to our what we call our At Concern team. And this is a team based within student welfare who will reach out to students if a member of staff is concerned about that student's welfare. And as you can see here, parents get involved with the student's permission if deemed appropriate by the team. So one of the other things that we offer here at Leicester is other opportunities to study abroad. So we have students who go and study in the Netherlands, Australia, the US, Canada. We've also have the opportunity for students to engage in a year in industry as well. So this is engaging in full-time employment in a workplace setting. And the study abroad and the year in industry takes place between second and third year. And unlike other courses, you don't need to, other institutions, sometimes you don't need to say when you apply to us whether you want to do a year in industry or a study year abroad. You get to decide that once you're on the course. So I mentioned about a skills-focused curriculum and making sure that our programme is really going to be relevant for the workplace beyond our undergraduate degree. So these are just a couple of the skills that you will develop on our course. So we've got our kind of core academic skills, so the knowledge, report writing, the content-based knowledge that you'll learn from a psychology degree here at Leicester, but you'll also be developing soft skills such as critical thinking and reflective practice, which are really important. I'm not going to go through all of these points again, but I just sort of want to emphasize that we've got a really supportive course here that's diverse in terms of its teaching and the way that we assess our students, with a real focus on the skills that you're developing in order to succeed in your chosen career. We've got a really diverse culture, and we've got students from a really wide range of backgrounds here at the University of Leicester School of Psychology. We've got a support system which works really well, and our teaching quality really is excellent. And so our degrees prepare you really well for a whole range of careers. And I just want to sort of highlight the range of careers that our students go into. So after graduating, students can take a route where they want to train to be a chartered psychologist, such as a clinical psychologist, educational psychologist, forensic psychologist, occupational psychologist. Some of our students go on to do research PhDs and then move on into industry or into academic research. And we've also got a number of students who move more into perhaps psychology allied professions such as social services, human resources, or indeed careers that are maybe not quite so closely aligned with psychology, such as advertising and management. And our degrees provide a really good stepping stone for our students to be able to engage in the career that they want, because we've got really good soft skills that transfer across all of these different careers. We've got a fantastic career support team. So there are weekly drop-ins within the George Davies Centre for our psychology students. We've got fortnightly employability talks designed specifically for our psychology students. And we've got something called the Leicester Award, which is embedded throughout our degree programme. So we're making sure that within our teaching, we are teaching employability skills to our students. And we have a designated careers tutor within our school who's a member of our staff, and an employability lead. And there's loads of opportunities available to you throughout your programme to really help you think about the your career path that you want to go into after your undergraduate degree. At a university level, we've got a careers hub located in the library, and there you can have one-to-one appointments with a member of staff to get feedback on your CV, engage in a mock interview, and we do have employers events, so where employers will come to the university and you can go along and hear about what it's like to work for that particular employer. In terms of the grade requirements needed to study psychology here at Leicester, our entry requirements are BBB or BBC if you have an extended project qualification at grade B or higher, and there are a number of other grade requirements from other types of further education courses listed on here. We are also expecting good GCSE grades in English, Maths and Science, so a grade 4 or more. And when you're applying for your university courses, you need to write a personal statement. And in the personal statement, you need to tell us why you're interested in studying psychology. What is it about studying at a university level as opposed to perhaps A level that you really are interested in? What is it that you know about psychology and how it's going to benefit you in the future? And what skills you've already developed that might be linked to psychology, how it's going to help you on the course. And it might be, but not necessarily, that you've got some psychological experience through perhaps some volunteering that you think ties into the psychology degree. And if you do, it'd be great if you could reflect on that experience. So that just leaves me to thank you for joining us. I think we're going to take any questions at the end, and the online chat room is open now, so we've got a kind of Q&A. So do feel free to pop any Q&As in there, and we'll make sure that they are picked up at the end of the session. So I am going to hand over to Anna now.
Perfect. So hello, my name is Anna. I'm an early career fellow in the School of Psychology and Vision Sciences. I'll tell you very briefly now about the eye movements, how we study eye movements, how we teach about eye movements on our course, and why you might find that interesting. So today's lecture will be kind of in 3 parts. I'll give you a very brief example of learning materials available for the students, a very brief example of the type of material covered in my lecture, an example of experimental research at the University of Leicester at the School of Psychology. So each lecture really starts by outlining learning outcomes. So what are those learning outcomes? Those are the questions that students should be asking themselves after every lecture. So for this particular lecture on the eye is the questions are, can you describe the physical nature of light? Can you describe the basic anatomy, structure of the eye? And can you explain the functional role of the eye? So for every lecture, there are materials available on the virtual learning environment for reading before and after the lecture. So before the lecture, we make PowerPoint slides available to aid, for example, note taking. And then students also have access to written learning resources, so references to journal articles, to books, for example, on a related topic. Then there's some video learning resources and some activities to encourage our students to learn the topic more actively. So every lecture is recorded, and students find this recording really useful, particularly if they miss the lecture for any reason, or if they want to listen to the recordings once again. Maybe they haven't quite caught some of the concept. Maybe they just want to refresh what they heard. They can just listen to the recording in their free time. So this particular lecture that I teach in the foundation course is about the anatomy and function of the eye. An eye is a complex organ with multiple components, and because this presentation is only 15 minutes long, I won't really have time to talk about the anatomy of the eye in details. Instead, I will tell you a little bit about the function of the eye and why is it so important to study eye movements. So about 30 to 40% of our brain is devoted to processing vision, making it really the largest sensory system in the brain. This shows how important sight is to how we understand and interact with the world around us. So one message that I would like you to take from this lecture is that the human eye is not like a camera that captures everything in crisp details all at once. Instead, only a small central area of the back of the eye, called the fovea, sees high resolution details. The rest of our vision is much blurrier. So to see clearly and to see details in our environment, we constantly move our eyes to focus on different parts of the scene. And all of us make about 2 to 3 eye movements every second. So now, just to give you a brief example, if I ask you to search for this familiar Wall-E figure in this kid's cartoon and just look in the center of the screen, you would probably find this task extremely difficult, if not impossible. Instead, what people do is that in order to find the details, in order to find, for example, this little chap with a hat on with the glasses, you need to move your eyes around the scene to focus on the details. This is what we're doing all the time. We're making eye movements. So by tracking where people are moving their eyes, we can understand a wide range of cognitive skills, such as strategy, attention, decision, that interact to produce coordinated behavior. So we measure eye movements to better understand how humans perceive, think, and how they interact with the world. And our eyes, in a sense, provide a direct link to our brain, making them a powerful tool for studying behavior, decision-making, and even health. So I'll just give you a few brief examples of why we could study the eye movements. For example, to learn about the brain and the attention system. So for example, we know that individuals with ADHD or autism show different eye movement pattern compared to controls. And we know that eye movements might also be slightly different in post-traumatic stress disorder. And here's just an image of Dr. Dag Barad, who's also teaching on a first-year introductory course. And he is actively pursuing this question of what we can learn from eye movements in post-traumatic stress disorder. Why we should study the eye? To improve technology. So eye tracking is critical for developing cutting-edge technology like virtual reality. And we actually have a brand new lab set up, virtual reality lab in the School of Psychology. We could study augmented reality and assistive devices for people with disabilities. And here you just have an image of Dr. David Soto, who is actively pursuing this line of research. So he's trying to see how we can use eye movements to improve the assistive devices for people with disabilities. We could study eye movements to learn how people read, to understand how people process visual and language information, and how reading skills develop. And this, by understanding how healthy people read, we can understand also reading disorders such as dyslexia. And here we've got Dr. Sarah White, who is whose research are on reading in different populations. She's also using eye movements in her studies. So I'm interested in understanding rehabilitation of, I'm interested in understanding visual field deficit and how we can help people with visual field deficit, in particular with hemianopia. So what is hemianopia? It's a condition when a person loses half of their visual field in one or both eyes. For example, someone might not see anything to the left or anything to the right when looking straight ahead. So you've got an image of that here. And it's often caused by things like brain damage. So it stems from strokes, head injury, brain tumor, or certain neurological conditions. And about 20 to 30% of stroke survivors experience some form of visual field loss. And it has profound effect on daily life. So people with hemianopia tend to have difficulty noticing objects, people, hazards, so they tend to have more accidents, and they have difficulty with like reading, driving, and so on.
Anna, you got 2 minutes.
Perfect. So I just wanted to show you an example of how we can study hemianopia in the lab. So we can simulate hemianopia. So you can see here how a participant is moving their eyes, and as they're moving their eyes, they're experiencing this half of the visual field disappearing to the right. And in the case of the left hemianopia, which you're going to see in a second, you will be able to see how left visual field is erased in the lab by measuring the eye movements. This is kind of my area of research. So I'm interested in how we can help people with visual field deficit to improve the quality of life, and how we can tailor the kind of feedback and strategy people use to overcome their deficits. And this research is obviously ongoing. And I just want to say in a summary that I wanted to highlight that research-informed teaching is really championed across the University of Leicester, and in particular in the School of Psychology and Vision Sciences. And whether it's for advance in medicine, improving technology, understanding human behavior, studying the eyes helps unlock how our mind works. And that's all from me. Thank you so much for your attention.
Shall we say thank you to everybody? Thank you so much, everybody.